everybody. We are so excited because it's our first episode with a guest. Yay! I'm so happy to introduce Amy Johnson to you. She is a friend and colleague. She's a sexuality educator, an Our Whole Lives facilitator and trainer, and she's a parent coach. I've invited her on our vlog so that we can talk a little bit about internet pornography and our kids. So, Amy, hi, I'm so glad you're here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Will you tell us a little bit about what it is that you do?
I work with parents and teenagers and people who work with parents and teenagers to help them tackle tender topics together. Topics like sexuality and especially like internet pornography is really a tender topic for parents and teens. My friend Joe Langford, who's a sexuality educator and therapist here in Seattle, has some research that was done out of the University of Montreal that kids are seeing pornography by the age of 10 now. And it came out of another study where they were trying to find people who were under 20 or 20 years old, around 20, who hadn't seen pornography for a control group, and they couldn't find anybody.
For real?
Yes. So they looked more and more closely at it, and what we're finding is that kids are seeing it, either not necessarily on purpose, but they are seeing internet pornography by the age of 10.
I know that I've talked to a lot of parents, and often the question I get is, how do I stop my kids from seeing porn on the internet?
Yeah, I get that too. And aren't we all concerned about that? Because we love our kids, and because internet pornography can be contrary to a lot of parents' values, especially for young children. And so I think that there are a few things to sort of frame around this. One is that there's a really, really high chance that your kid is going to see something at some time, no matter how careful you are. So, of course, you want to have your own values and have those be really clear about what your values are in your family and as a parent about the internet and about pornography and about internet pornography. I think of this in a way of, lots of us talk to our kids about safety and sexuality. We talk about private areas of our bodies, and we talk with kids about sexual abuse prevention in the best way that we can. And we don't do that because, we want to scare them or anything. We do it because we want them to be prepared in case anything happens. And so I think that that's important to do with this topic too. We want them to be prepared in case something happens. We want them to know what to do if they come across something that makes them uncomfortable in any way, whether it's pornography or it's violence or bullying or racial, slurs or anything like that. What do they do? And so to have, as parents, to have thought through that ahead of time, to know what my values are, to know what I want my kids to do, and to talk to them about that. I think that's what's really important. I think one of the really big benefits of thinking about this ahead of time is that we can avoid freaking out. Because a lot of times when we have something happen that has a high emotional, tenor to it, and it's a surprise, I don't know about you, but I know that I don't necessarily do my best calm, matter-of-fact parenting at that moment.
Right.
So if I think about it ahead of time and I talk to my child ahead of time and say, hey, if you see something that isn't appropriate, and you maybe need to spell out what that is, first of all, anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, but also you might need to say naked people or people having sex, or people doing sexual things to each other. Of course, this is, presupposing that you've had conversations with them so they know what all those things are. I think that one of the main things is to let them know that if they come to you, they're not going to be in trouble. The chances are, especially if they're 10 or younger, that they haven't been out there necessarily searching the internet for pornography. And they've come across something or somebody sent them a link. And so to keep those communication lines open and let them know they're not going to be in trouble. Also ask them if they have any questions. To really keep that line of communication open. And you know what? You don't have to know the answer. You don't have to be afraid that they're going to ask you something that you don't know, because if they do, you can say, you know what? I'm not sure. I'll find out. Or let's look that up together and use some sites that you know are safe and reputable to find out that information for them.
Great.
And with teens too, you know, again, thank you for telling me that you came across this. I know it's not easy and I know it can be embarrassing. I'm not comfortable with you looking at this on our computer. And let's talk about where you can look, where you can get your questions answered, what sites are okay for you to look at, those kind of things, and giving them some other resources. Because kids are curious and they want to know what stuff looks like, and peers are sending them, you know, things all the time, and we just don't want kids to end up thinking that their sexuality education is coming from internet porn. Give them some accurate places to look.
Right, exactly. Empower them to be able to find the information and to feel good about coming to you as a parent with the questions.
Right, that you can be askable and a trustworthy source. They want that from you, whether they say that or not. The research shows that kids really want to be able to ask their parents, and that's where they get their information about love and relationships. So whether we're talking about it or not, whether we're freaking out or staying calm, that's where they're getting their information. But my website is diligentjoy, diligentjoy.com. There's information, there's resources. If you're looking for those books I was mentioning, they're all on there in the resource section. I have a blog as well. You can find me on Facebook. Good. Well, I also want to just plug Joe Langford for a second, because he does a lot of work in this area too. And his website is beheroes.net. He also has a new book he wrote, the Sex Edclopedia, and it's about sexuality education for guys. Feel free to contact me. There's a link to do that on my website. If you have any further questions, I'd be happy to be in touch with you.
Excellent. Thanks so much for spending some time with us, Amy, and for all the work that you're doing with kids and parents.
All right. Thank you, Melissa.